Hi, everyone. I just want to remind you that you're still muted.
Button there. Oh,
Hi, Lisa.
Hi there. You're all set on this end.
all right. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Kingston County Council, Monday, November 24th. Call the meeting to order here at 6:38. This is our budget wrap-up review meeting. We will be discussing things related to the proposed budget after all of our meetings with the various departments, department heads. And as we get started, I'd like to remind folks that we can speak openly about positions. But if anything begins to veer toward a person's name, then we need to go into executive session. We will be going into executive session because we already know there's one particular issue we want to discuss. So just be clear on that, because I mean, if we go into, okay. So in other words, we can talk about the position of majority leader, like the position is paid or remunerated. But the second you start to want to talk about Rennie, then we need to go into executive session. And just don't say people's names out loud either. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we get started? Okay, so I think what I would like for us to do is to each go around. We'll go around, and each of us, if there's any changes we want to make, any general questions that we have, we can get those out on the table. See if folks are in the same area. See if we got wildly different ideas about what to do, what's happening, and so forth. Is that all right with everyone? We'll start here on my right.
Sure. So I would like to go into executive session to talk about a few positions that will involve speaking of names. So when we finish with that, maybe, I don't know when we want to start that, but that is a concern of mine. I also would like to talk about the mayor's and common council raises and have a discussion on that, which doesn't need executive session because it's about the position. The other thing that I would like to bring up for Terrell, if she's not here, although I will need to recuse myself, but she has mentioned in the email, and I think at a meeting, about department heads paying more into the medical. So I just want to see where people stand, because I don't want it to come up at caucus and cause an issue. I will have to recuse myself because my husband is a department head and it will have a direct impact on my household income. So if that conversation were to happen, then I will no longer participate in it, but I wanted to bring it up just for the sake of Terrell's not here, and she has brought it up a couple times, so for her, those are my concerns.
Right, Sarah.
Yeah, I don't have any sort of major concerns. I mean, the most concern that I have is really that it seems like there's not a lot we can actually cut. You know, a lot of the budget numbers are contractual numbers that are there, and you know, I may have some suggestions as we move further on that are, you know, tweaking things here and there. I do want to include a discussion about setting aside some money for the Charter Review Commission. So that's one thing I have on my sort of to-do list.
Michael?
Thank you, Council President. You touched on my question about the salary raises for certain positions. I think we should have a conversation about occupancy tax as well as our sales tax projections.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, I would. Pretty much, I really don't have too much to add to what's already been said. The mayor's raise, we would like, I'd like to discuss that. The contractual takes up a lot of the budget. Really can't do anything about that. So I don't really have a lot of things other than what we've already discussed at our meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that everybody's pretty much hit everything, all the points that I would bring up as well. The budget's fairly lean to start with. I know we will discuss the council raises, but some new council members that are coming on board had expressed a desire to have some training. So I don't know, like maybe putting aside a little bit of money if we don't take those raises for training, so.
Good.
I also want to focus on the mayors. What the mayors and the councils pay or increase or decrease. I think that's important to discuss, and I want to focus more on that information on training that you completed, that you shared with me. I think that also is important for council, especially new council, to read and.
Yes, I mean, I started reviewing it, so I'm send it out and it'll, I don't know if that will be necessarily, it shouldn't have anything to do with budget,
No, it's not,
but yeah.
it's definitely a concern of mine as far as, positions, I just felt it was very helpful and it definitely informed the way people, their roles.
Thank you.
I feel like, Sarah, I have one concern about, move. But basically what everyone's saying here, I do appreciate the trainings that the new council people should go to. I think that's a fabulous thing, and if anything goes right, if they could get it, that's really great. You could do nothing but help the next council people coming in. But executive session for one position, I have a lot of concerns with that. I've been listening to.
Okay.
I'm with Michael. I want to look at the revenue side. I think that, I think Steve's point's well taken. Much of our budget is taken up with our three major public works, police and fire. And I'm not willing to cut any positions or any services. So I think it's definitely
Okay. One thing I would add is that we might folks for a minimal look at current vacant positions, ask whether we need to fill them. There's one that I see in the rec department that I can imagine you would have some discussion about that. It's not close to vacant positions, not that person. All right. Okay, so I think let's do what's public first before we go into executive session. Because the other thing is, when we talk about some of these things, we may decide that there's an issue related to them that require executive session. If that's okay with everybody, then the first thing on the list is the increase for the offices of mayor and for common council. Let's see if there's anybody for and anybody against. So is there anybody who's for both of these? Well, let's do the mayor's, let's do them separately. Is there anybody who is against the increase in salary in that office? And is there anybody who's significantly for it? Okay, so Michael, I'm going to choose you to be the anti.
Okay, air horn, if I move into area where we should go into executive.
Is there an
session.
app for that?
But, so you run knowing what your salary is going to be. I think that the individuals who have chosen to run for that position knew it was a 4-year term, knew what the salaries would be for those 4 years. And if this is a discussion that we want to have in 2027, I think that's legitimate about changing the salaries. I think
Why 2027?
start of, that would be going into a new term.
Okay.
I also think that for the same reason that I think it's inappropriate for us to have a raise, I think when we are raising taxes as much as we are, I think it is just not okay to be giving yourself a raise. Especially the office, a raise, thank you. And I believe that there's also, part of that is public perception, and part of that is if you look around in other cities our size, the office of the mayor is compensated rather uniformly. That position is not being compensated that much under in the city of Kingston versus other cities of similar population. I do not think that now that this is the time for any elected official to be giving a raise when we put such a large tax increase on their constituency. I think part of that is that we are public servants. We should be eating those costs if we want to. And I've also said this in these finance committee meetings, if we have a period of years where we're not increasing taxes to nearly 10%, then I think that's when we can go for a raise that is more in line with some of our colleagues around the state and around the area. I think that this is not the time, frankly. And I think our constituents know that I'm sort of going into into the council race sort of now, so feel free to stop me, but our constituents know that we work nearly full time, that we are underpaid, that we should be compensated more. And I don't think anybody would say they've given themselves a raise that's horrible. But I think that they would also understand that if we took the time to actually give ourselves a more significant raise in a time in which it is less burdensome to them.
Good, Drew, you want to take the side?
Yeah, so when we're focused on the mayor, we denied him last year.
Right, it's the office, we're talking about, not him.
It's that office, we denied that office a raise last year. That office does a lot of work, have a lot of responsibility here. That office has been doing a really decent job. I feel that they should be compensated. We have three, I was about to talk about, the administration in total, but costs are increasing. And I feel that office, they're going to be asked for more of their time. One, away from that office's, family, and focus more on the community. I feel what's being asked is a mere portion and of what is deserved from my perspective. I do agree that although we all here on the council are doing, I think, phenomenal work, I would forego the council's increase to focus on what I feel the mayor should be compensated for the amount of work that they're doing.
Okay.
I am actually not, I raised my hand with Michael. But I'm actually more in favor of just making sure that both the council and the mayor, either yes and yes or no and no. I disagree with your last statement. I don't disagree with anything else you said, but we are so underpaid for the work that we put in. I mean, it's bad. And so, I know it's hard to say that we, give ourselves a raise. It's easier to give somebody else, but the hours that you all put into this work is really unbelievable. And I just can't say give that office this raise, which yes, it is a lot of work. I don't know how much more work it's going to be expected. I think it's, you said there'd be more work out in the community. I don't know if that's true, but the amount of work that, like, when I started in 2018, and really once 2020 hit and everybody was at home and started looking out their windows and seeing the problems and calling their older person, it's really exploded the amount of work that this council does. So I am more either yes and yes or no and no. I just can't see how we could say that that one office deserves it and we don't. Or if we're going to say that we're forgoing ours for the reasons that Michael said, which I, would be fine with, then it should go to all the elected officials. We could all wait.
I just want to say, do you know how much it is to make flyers? Do you know how much it is to give refreshments at, when you call your people together and have a meeting in your constituents? Just to make flyers to let them know the time that we invest in it, going to other meetings or going to fundraisers or this, that, doing things that our constituents expect you to do. It all costs money. You're looking at 4 of us, 5 of us that live off of Social Security. That's unbelievable, and still getting all these different things done to try to help our constituents. And I think that the money that office has brought into the city from the infrastructure on up, I think, a couple of years without an increase is okay. When we came in, we all said, no, we're not taking an increase. Times are really tough. We're coming out of COVID, that. But just to go to Staples or something and make flyers and then hand them out and then, have refreshments and then have meetings, it's all money. And a lot of it comes out of your own pocket. Most of it comes out of your own pocket because you sit and you talk. But once you start meeting and handing things out, the money goes. And we're servants. On the other hand, we're not giving money or getting for our constituents. That time is given because we're not getting paid for our time. And that's where we're giving from our hearts, that we want to help our community. So I'm for a raise because I like to see younger people take our spots with new ideas and with something that they could actually fall back on and raise a family and work. That's
Anti, you respond, Michael?
I think I've made my position clear, and I think that was the position that we took last year, was the tax increase was too much for us to warrant a raise in this time. We were raising taxes even more than we were last year. So by that justification alone, I think it is inappropriate for us to be raising money. At the end of the day, this is a public service and a choice to be the alderman. I think that should we be paid more? Yes. Should it come off the backs of while we are increasing taxes just to maintain services as they are right now? No. I think that this is, in the grand scheme of things, it's a rather paltry amount. And it does add up. I feel like I'm not, none of us are making money really out of being an alderman. That's not what we're here for, and that's what nobody should be here for. But right now, when this means, a $200 increase to some of these taxes every year, I'm not willing to take that to say I should get a raise if that means that you are one step closer to being in an even more insecure situation in your housing.
Steve, Michelle, Bob, Andrew.
Okay. Obviously, I say this all the time, I've been here a long time, and I've been at this table every budget, and the subject of our race comes up. Somebody always says this year is not the appropriate time to do it, whether it's COVID, one year was the austerity budget, and I've always gone along with it, and I have no skin in the game here, so I can kind of say what I want about it, but I think everybody at this table works extremely hard, and yes, it's kind of difficult to give yourself a raise, but if this council doesn't do it, who's going to do it? Nobody's going to drive up with a truckload of money and say, here's your raise. we have to do it, same as county legislators have to give themselves a raise or not. It falls to us to make that decision. And as I said, it's not gonna affect me one way or the other, but, you know, I know how hard everybody works. I know the hours we put in, and Jeannie said, we spend a lot of money. Every time we have a meeting, somebody calls, can you give me a donation for this and a donation for that? And you're giving people money quite frequently. And it adds up after a while. And, you know, I do agree, I didn't get in this for the money. That's obvious, but, you know, I think the council is deserving of a raise. We went a long time without a raise. It was several years, I think, at one point that we hadn't had a raise until we finally decided, because it's always been, now is not the appropriate time. And, you know, I can agree, there's probably never an appropriate time to give yourself a raise, but, you know, I think it's deserving.
Sheldon, Dr. Greer.
So regarding our raises, I mean, we deserve a raise that is at least double what we make compared to what other councils across the state, earn. You know, I meet with a lot of them, through local progress, so we are woefully underpaid. So honestly, $1,000 at this point, it just really doesn't really mean a lot to me. I mean, we're gonna catch so much flack from the community over $1,000 that I just don't even think it's worth taking. Regarding the mayor's salary, I'm just thinking back to when it first started and we were looking to increase the mayor's salary, that there was an agreement that would have been put in place prior to my coming on the council. And it was because the reason was to increase his salary was because he should be making more than subordinates under him. And subordinates under him are now making much more than he is again. So that is, he didn't take a raise last year. Third, I just think that we are in a time where our budget has increased to the point where I think every year we're going to be going above the tax cap, right, John? Like, we're kind of
There is going to be significant pressure on the 27 budget from what I see right now, unless economy changes or circumstances change.
Yeah.
In future.
Yeah. So I think like this is our new reality and we have to make decisions. Like it's not going to be getting better and people should be compensated.
Well, first, I believe the mayor is not compensated for the work. Small raise, I think, is appropriate. We don't want to be in a position where the mayor's office is so woefully underpaid that the candidate pool gets to be scared. We've had that in the past. I don't want to repeat it. I much prefer to have a compensation that will generate for us candidates that are competent and qualified. And I don't think that we can, unless we keep up, that's not going to happen. So that's my concern about the mayor's pay. I believe it should be, and it's really a small raise. You can almost call it a token raise for the position, but I think it's good.
I agree. I agree with you said, Bob. And I think we got a small bump. I think last year or the year before. There was a small bump. Yeah.
Not last year.
We tend to ignore money.
Yeah, well, to me, that was, I know it's a very minute bump, but yeah, exactly. It was one of those, but I remember something. If it's a yes and yes or no and no, I would have to say yes and yes, because I think, as Bob was saying, I feel that the mayor is underpaid, and again, you know, in the future, we want the best candidate, so we want to make sure that, and he's full-time as well, so. For things count, or the positions.
And I would agree with Bob that, you know, this is an important position, and I think that his position, or the mayor position is different from our positions in that person in that position is also administering the city. You know, but has a huge responsibility, you know, that we don't have. I mean, it's one thing, I think, you know, I would probably go from a yes, no. Yes, for an increase for the mayor's salary, and no, for us, it's very, you know, we don't make a lot of money. And I spend a lot of time, just like everybody else here, working with constituents. But again, I entered into it knowing there was not going to be a lot of money there. I voluntarily did it, and if I'm deciding not to increase my salary, that's a different decision than deciding not to increase somebody else's salary. So that's just my feeling about it.
The mayor also entered into his with the salary, so I disagree with that. And again, like I said, I'm not so much as a no to the mayor's increase. I'm just, if we're going to do that, this would be the year that we also start increasing the council, because next year's gonna be the same thing. And we are woefully underpaid for the work that we do. So I just can't see how we could talk, like the same arguments that I just listened to from all of you. Minus Michael, but even him, he's consistent. No one know because of the perception and other reasons he outlines. But again, like what Bob said, if we want good candidates for the mayoral position, if we want good candidates for the council position, there's a lot of seats that are opposed, and that works out in our benefit, sitting at the table, but we want people to want this position. We want people to be able to afford daycare, to be able to come here. As Jeannie said, that would get people to younger people with families to be able to do this. And it's just not going to get better. I also want to acknowledge the mayor, because we had this conversation last year, and he did listen and put in for the council raises in this budget. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. I really appreciate it. That would have been really annoyed if it was, again, the same thing where it was just his and not ours. But we really need to start stepping it up, even though it is tiny. And I also don't think that we're going to get a lot of flack from the public. Maybe the few who complain about everything, but everybody I talk to thinks it's ridiculous how little we get paid. Everybody I talk to. So yes, there will be a couple loud voices, but I know we all signed up, and I'm perfectly fine with the salary that I have right now. I don't need any more, but I think it's just more for, we have to, it just needs to start increasing. So why not right now? It's in the budget. Let's just do it. And then give the mayor his raise. But for all the arguments that you all just said for the mayor's raise, it's the same arguments for the council.
So I haven't spoken yet. I would like to point out a couple of things. I'm actually against increases for both positions. My reasoning has to do with, number one, historically, we knew the mayor's office was not getting paid commensurate to other mayors. And so we did a study. I actually did the study. We realized that that salary needed to be bumped up. So over the course of 4 years, we increased the salary of the mayor's office, and it got to a good position. And so I feel like we have paid attention to what that office gets. I'm a little leery of thinking about that position in terms of what's the salary and what's the quality of candidates we draw. I don't think people are running for that office because they see it as an occupation. I think there's a very symbolic element to being the mayor, and that is an element of the compensation that goes along with the money that's involved. And I am very concerned that we are increasing taxes now for the second time, having to override the tax cap for the second year in a row, and that there's a very powerful symbolic element here that we went into this knowing what we're getting paid. I would go even higher, Michelle, you mentioned, to make the common council salaries commensurate to the work we do. I think we would need to triple them, if not quadruple them, if we were really going to use the idea of drawing people who are at the low end of the income spectrum, being able to afford childcare, all these sorts of things. And I just don't see us doing anything like that. So to me, the increase in salary it would be symbolic. Either way, I see both of these as relatively symbolic gestures. And for me, the symbolism right now is that we're entering into a difficult time And the symbolic element here suggests to me not to increase the salaries for either of these positions. Drew, I think you're next thought. You want to speak? No, go ahead.
No, I've said my piece, so I'm
good.
You're good? All right, is there anybody else? Okay, then, does anybody want to make a motion to reduce the, well, there's one other option. If we thought about, cost of living increase only for the past year, for the salary of the mayor's office, it would be around $2,000. I think if we're doing 2.5%. So that would be another option, but that probably doesn't help anybody.
Well, no, I was gonna say that also when we look at the staff, when we look at sort of the union contracts that we have, typically, I mean, we've set aside money because typically there is a cost of living increase that goes to all staff. And so since our mayor is full-time, even though he's elected, he's that position, let's say, that position is also a staff position, somebody who supervises staff. So I would be willing to go with a smaller increase that would be more commensurate with what other staff the city are making. So
Okay,
that I would go for that option.
that's one. Anybody else interested in that one? Smaller symbolism? Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, did you want to say something?
No, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to remove the mayor and council raises from the proposed.
Can you separate those?
let's do one.
All right, I'll make a motion to remove the raise from the mayor's position.
All right,
So this is just finance committee members, but I would suggest that everybody weighs in, but the vote can only be Drew, Steve, Michael, Sarah, Rennie. I finally got it. I know who's on the committee. That's the vote, but I think it's wise to hear from the three members who will be voting next week as well.
I just want to ask the question, how are we procedurally going to, is this going to be a committee report to adjust the budget, or
What I would suggest is that all the changes will happen in one committee report, but we need to,
Okay.
and then we'll just know from that, and is that your plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Do you need a committee report?
We won't need a committee report yet. We'll need
Yeah,
a
we'll
committee
break
report.
everything down to one.
Here's one form you got.
Oh, we we didn't talk about an exit salary for everybody who's leaving the council this year. 100,000,
We vote on that.
200.
We don't
Hey.
agree.
And thank you for your
Mine
service.
is very good. I think I want to fire something.
All right, so Michael made the motion.
Yes.
I will second the motion. So now the floor is open for discussion. Does anybody have anything else to say? Go ahead.
We are in a national financial crisis. The contradictions of late stage capitalism and neoliberal market forces have brought us to this point, and that we are facing extremely uncertain future budgets that require people to lead. And part of being a leader is recognizing that it is when it is your time and when it is not your time. And I do not think that this is the time to be giving this position this raise. If we were to enter in a period of a couple, like pre-COVID and up until 2020, frankly, until we got on the council, some of us, it was a period of no tax increases. That was the time to have done that. If we enter that period again, I would be the first person to say, let's commission another salary study and see if both we as a council and whether the mayor and frankly, all positions, all management positions in the city are compensated commensurate with our neighboring cities. But now is the time for leaders to say it is not this time.
Anybody else? All right,
Well,
go ahead.
if not now, then when?
If we enter a period in which we are not
We
raising
won't.
taxes by
We
record,
won't.
eventually that will change.
Wait, hold on, sorry, one at a time.
So we are entering a period where the foreseeable future is rather large scale tax increases to simply keep maintain services as is. I'm sure in 2001 and in 2008, we were in that same boat, but we entered periods where sales tax allowed us to not have substantial tax increases over a number of years. Before 2024 or 2025, there were no tax increases. It was 8 years of no tax increases. And so that was 8 years in which, as the majority leader said, they did that study for the mayor's position and the previous councils determined that they were compensated fairly. If we were to enter that period and I'm on the council, I would say we should get $25,000 because that is what we should get paid. But now is not the time when we have people who are living on fixed incomes who are going to get a pretty substantial tax increase to say, well, at least my alderman got a 10% raise.
I thought we was talking about the mayor position.
Or, sorry, so at least the mayor got, at least the mayor got his tax increase covered.
True.
When it comes to the mayor's position and the responsibility that come with a leader's position, full-time, I think we all should galvanize around respecting that, looking at what else comes with that. A lot of time, much more time. I know we put in a lot of time. Again, our focus is that mayor position. That compensation is important. And as you know, Bernie was stating, to me, it's how we want to show appreciation. And I don't think it's all about the money. And yes, coming into this position, that was different. That was a different time. Times are changing. Everything is increasing. We have to think about the person, at least that leader in that position, and how we're going to bring that support to them and that person's family.
Michael,
So to me, appreciation means that we're talking about the individual, and that's not that's what we're here for. I can appreciate the work that this position requires, but I do not believe that in giving out elected official raises based off of appreciation of the work that they're done and doing. We could have a mayor tomorrow that is horrible and but they would still be compensated the same amount. It's about the position, and I think that now is not the time. Frankly, that's it. We're increasing taxes by nearly 10%, and to give the leader of the city their tax increase covered, I think is abhorrent.
Jeannie and Sarah.
How much is it really, in the long run, is it gonna hit our taxpayers, this small percentage of increase, especially for the council? I mean, I think the council is wonderful. I think each one of us brought something wonderful to the table. But I also know being on a fixed income and having to run and get part-time jobs and this, that, and the other thing. Everyone's heart right here is really for their community. That's why they ran. They really, but when you get in it and you see how expensive it gets, and you take on another job at 65 years old, you're gonna sing a different tune there. I think that it's a lot, and you're validating what you're saying. I understand because I went along with it last year. But this year, to bring this new crew in, and hopefully they will be younger and all kinds of hope. The council that's here, I'm gonna stay here, deserve a raise. They've worked hard for many years. They put in a lot of stuff here. And the percentage that it's really gonna affect these taxes is so small, minute. Unless a lot of other things get dismantled, it's minute. And I can't see, and you talked about daycare, you brought in daycare. Well, poor people want to take care of their community too. And they need something that extra boost. When I see, honestly now, when I see how much money I would put in, I was like, I can't even believe this. And I was definitely for no raise last year. But I'm going broke for my constituents. And I don't think that's the reason why they wanted people to run, because they trusted you. And they trusted that you're making good decisions. And they trusted you for a lot, but nobody's putting money in your pocket to do all the things that you need to do. There's just no way. And it's not just about, it's about a cost of living increase. Everyone gets it that works. except for maybe, waitresses. That get a cost of living increase.
Or nonprofit.
Or nonprofit
I'll point out,
workers.
Yes.
at a population of about 22,000. We're talking about 1/4 per resident of the city.
All right, so this isn't,
So it's symbolic, yeah.
yeah, it really is, and I think that, and Malcolm, you're staying on the council. I think you deserve a raise. I think you deserve a raise, Michael, that speaks volumes. You put your work in. Yeah, and that's to be admired, you put your homework in, you always discuss things till you kill the dead horse. But I admire other colleagues that really work hard, but I also understand, you guys had high-paying jobs. I didn't, I worked for the city for 18 years, and my social security isn't all that great. But you understand what I'm saying? You deserve a raise. You deserve it because you put the work in, because you love your community, and because it costs. You're a single man. What happens when you get a partner or
We're
whatever?
getting to personal. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the position.
It's
So once you position as a
raise.
single,
I agree that this
You
position,
need a raise, Michael.
but now it's not the
Drew,
time.
But it's never gonna be, it's like having babies. It's never a good time to have a baby.
Drew,
Yeah, well, first, when I first got into, when the mayor approached me for this position, and then I ran for it, I had no idea there was compensation.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm willing to volunteer because I love this community. I just love Kingston. So if you took it away and it was like, Drew, we just need you here, I'd be here. I didn't know that came with it. But I also know that it's not like running my organization, which is almost 24/7, which is how I compare a mayor's position. And I denied multiple years in a row raises from my organization just because I want to see it go to my people. I want to see it go to my community. I'll put in the work. I'll do what I have to. And I'm sure the mayor possibly feels the same way, but symbolically, I feel appreciation goes a long way. And I like to put my money where my mouth is. I'm not saying, I think all of you are phenomenal. I mean, probably one of the best council members and presidents and so on that I've ever seen as long as I've been here, 25 years. I mean, you guys are rocking, making policies I've never seen approach and passed and resolutions. It's great. Our mayor is also doing his share. He's doing his part. And I feel that that symbolic representation or support from us is important.
so I believe I heard Drew make a motion to get rid of all common council members. Did I hear that right? Because we have to wait for that motion.
Let's talk about the mayor's
We're
position.
just talking about the mayor.
We're talking
not talking
about,
about.
not, we're talking about the compensation for the office of the mayor. Sarah,
Well, I would say, in terms of the question of timing, we are entering into a very difficult year ahead of us, and we know that. And I think the burden is going to be on us, but it's going to be more on the mayor of the city to deal with what the city and its staff are going to have to do to respond to what's out there. So I still feel like I would like to see an increase in the salary.
Michael, then I think we'll move to a vote.
So it is symbolic. And part of that symbology is standing in your truth and saying this position deserves that raise. When this budget was announced, our raises were mentioned. It was not both raises were mentioned. So there is clearly a shame in this. And I believe that that alone should also disqualify this, because if you can't say to your constituents, I deserve this, you don't deserve this. You can hear one of me if I cross the line. But I think that, I just think that to me, that was enough of saying, oh, I'm going to throw the council under the bus and I'm going to deign to give them their raise. But this position, we're just going to slide it in under the radar and hope the Freeman reports on it. That is exactly what happened.
We go through this with fine tooth comb. All right, so I'm going to call the vote. So remember, a yes vote is to reduce the salary increase to 0. A no vote is to maintain the current increase $5,000.
And there also can be a motion after this to a
Less
less,
a smaller.
yeah.
Yes.
So you could vote no on this, but then make a motion for a smaller increase. Just wanted to make that clear.
But only if there's a second reaction. Discuss. All right, so all in favor of the reduction? Yes. That's 2. All in favor or all against the reduction?
Against the reduction.
All right, so goes down 3-2. All right, so now we can move, can we have a motion regarding the common council increase?
Did you want to make a motion?
Okay, could I make a motion to,
Oh, yes.
yes, to increase the mayor's salary by a cost of living, the equivalent of cost of living
For 1 year.
for 1 year.
It would be reducing.
So reducing the 5,000 to a smaller number.
Which would be what? 2,000, 2,500?
Well, I guess the cost of living, well, social security, the cost of living was 2.8%, I think. I don't know, so that's.
What is this correct salary?
Yeah, we'll have to.
Well, the mayor position with the raise is 84 votes.
But there's also, no, that's the steward too, so that's just more
Yeah,
than the other one.
it was,
100,000.
so it's a little over 105,000.
Well, that would be $2,800.
$2,800 if.
Cost of
the cost
living.
Yeah, 2.5 last year.
The 5,000 is 2.5.
Over
It was
2 years.
2 years, right? So
So I would say 2,500. But you making the motion, what's the
I
amount?
would make a motion to increase the salary for that position by 25.
So you'd be reducing it.
Reducing.
reducing it because you
Just
didn't
voting.
already reduce it.
Right, so
Wait,
you'd
you
be
don't
right,
yeah, right.
you would be reducing.
You're increasing it. You're
Reduce
increasing
the,
it
right,
by
reduce
5.
the
So it's
current 5,000 increase to 25. Yeah.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right. We have a motion and a second to increase the mayor's salary by only 25. Discussion. You can also say ditto. Andrew.
I like that. I mean, I always like compromises, so I think that's a good compromise. I also like, Sarah, your point earlier about, you know, that's likely what we could be doing for other employees. That makes sense. Also, because 5,000 was adding last year's and this year, you know, we said no to last year. And so you doubled up on it. So if he's still getting what we said no to last year. So I would rather see the smaller amount this year and then 1 more year, because then that brings us, Michelle had mentioned an agreement that wasn't official. So and the county council members saw their side of the agreement on that. But that would bring more aligned because it was per year and this was just doubling up because the position didn't get what he wanted last year. So I am in favor, not that I am a voting member, but I like that compromise. It's still symbolic, it still does all the things that everybody said, but it fits more in line with the agreement, it fits more in line with what we said last year, it fits more in line with being a strong leader and not taking more than what you are doing, because I appreciate how you said, you know, for the CCE, you don't take raises sometimes because you do it for your people. The same thing, like for me, when I teach piano lessons and I charge not a lot of money because I want to make sure kids could afford it. So, you know, do those things if you're a strong leader. So I think that this makes a good compromise. And yeah, for those reasons.
Anything else? Any other? Go ahead, Drew.
I just appreciate your point. I appreciate and I concur. Yeah. Good point.
Anybody else? Hearing no further discussion, then we'll call for vote. Everyone in favor of increasing the mayor's salary by 20,000.
Reducing.
You reduce your last, we just increased it 5%.
No, he didn't. No, he just didn't decrease it. So right now, the budget is 5,000, so we have to decrease it. The vote last time did nothing.
Okay.
It neutralized it. I promise I'm right.
So the motion is to reduce, okay, then the motion is to reduce the current increase of $5,000 to $2,500. Which you could also say is a decrease. So who is in favor of that? Okay, that's 4. Who's against it? All right. So,
Steve, did you vote?
I didn't vote for it.
well,
So-
You can ask for a no vote.
who's against it?
What?
Who's a no
He's
vote?
asking now.
Are you no vote on that?
I'm a no vote.
Okay, well, it passes 4-1. So that's a change that we will then make.
Sean, are you keeping track, or do you want me to?
I'm trying, yes.
Can I also ask the 3 non-finance members, because, you know, to make this go smoothly next week, are you okay with this?
I would probably go with Steve.
But would you vote down the budget for this?
I would not put on the budget.
In other words, you would approve the current increase in the budget.
I wouldn't, yes, I would.
Okay.
But we're not gonna, it's gonna, okay.
Maybe other things, no.
Just don't want next week to be an exciting meeting. I want it to be a nice, boring meeting.
You're doing the budget. You out of that?
You just go to last vote. It is usually boring, and these meetings that aren't boring.
All right, so we will move now to the common council salary. Do we have a motion to delete the increase in common council salaries? Did I say that right?
You said delete?
Yeah, because right now there's in the budget it has an increase.
Gotcha.
So delete, you know,
You need to remove the increase.
remove the increase.
Okay.
What, do we need a thesaurus at this table?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not making a motion, I do just want to say that I'm 100% against yes, no, so.
Okay. Are you gonna make a motion?
No.
So if nobody makes a motion, then the common council increase goes through. As listed in the budget.
I guess I have a question in terms of yeah, it's a tiny increase, but in terms of the percentage, in terms of,
10%.
it's 10%.
It's a total, and the total cost is $12,750.
Anyway, I would probably, be willing to go for a little, say 5% instead of 10% increase, but I don't know. Sorry. All right.
Take the money.
All right.
It's not there.
And it is true that I spend a lot of money on my constituents. It's true. Flyers and, meetings and, yes.
Yeah, let's clarify that statement.
Oh.
What you don't
Spend a lot of money on your constituents.
Yes, for meetings that bring us all together into.
Okay, so we're taking care of those 2 things. Now the issue about department heads paying more for health insurance, this is actually more complicated.
I know. Can I just recuse myself real quickly?
Recuse away.
I am recusing myself because has to do with, or my husband is part of this, and therefore, my household income would be affected. So I'm stopping this conversation.
Michael.
I think that this is a violation of our management confidential policy, and I'm not comfortable doing this unless we are willing to amend the policy, which I'm not really willing to do.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. So this would require renegotiating the management, and that's a substantial process.
Well, I'm absolutely against it. It affects their compensation, and if you're gonna cut their pay, which is what that is. It has to be made up in other areas. I think it's an absolutely terrible idea.
I'm not on this committee and I want no such thing to move forward.
I'm
I
sorry,
don't want this to move forward.
gotcha. Drew and Sarah, then Drew.
I'm with Bob. I don't understand. Yeah, I'm just with Bob.
Bad faith.
Okay,
I agree
Okay.
with what's been said. Yep.
I agree with Bob.
okay. Well, I agree with Mike, but Mike would agree with Bob.
I think we're all in agreement.
I think it's also part of like, again, you're choosing public service because it's by and large a lower salary, especially here in the city of Kingston. But the added is that you pay less, you get better benefits than you would in the private sector and access to a retirement. And I think messing with that is hemorrhage staff.
All right, the package should,
And we do have department heads who are paid less than their subordinates.
it's a compensation.
And it's also in the management handbook.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we're done with that.
Come back, Andrew.
I just wanted to
Yes,
bring that up
thank you.
because the council member had concerns, so
Yes.
use the fair things to.
Okay, now the next thing on my list here from what we discussed is whether or not, or whether to put in an actual dollar amount for the Charter Review Commission.
2,500?
Probably should be a little more than that. Yeah, I mean, I would say that in terms of, what I've learned in terms of what it could cost. Again, generally it could cost, depending upon how robust the process is, anytime between, any amount between 10,000 and 90,000. However, when I reached out last summer to a group, a nonprofit group that does this work, what they said is that they would charge $21,000 for sort of tier 1, which is the lowest tier, and 43 for sort of a higher tier of being involved. We have been looking into alternate funding sources, but those are not going to happen immediately. So I would say if we are going to get started, we should at least set aside some money to get the process started and to convene the Charter Review Commission, to bring consultants on board, and then, if need be, we could find some outside money to match that as we get further along in that process that will take a year. So I would say we probably, anyway, I could guess on an amount, but I'd like to hear what other people have to say.
Well, just to back up one aspect of what you're saying, we're running into a problem, which is New York State law has a pretty fast timeline for these things. We have to have this done in time for a vote in November 2027. Right. No, 28.
Or whatever.
Or 27.
Go into the
So
referendum.
if the Charter Review Commission says everything is perfectly fine, this is all new. If, however, they say we need a significant set of changes, those would have to go before the city voters at large. That's our deadline. That deadline does not work with the way that most not-for-profit philanthropic organizations work. You can understand they want to do a lot of investigation. They want to be clear what they're spending their money on. They're not just going to come in and say, oh, we're throwing money at it. So this is a little bit of the rub that Sarah's talking about. Michael.
Sarah has been pretty consistent from the beginning about how much this would cost. And that was part of why I was favored moving forward with it, as well as voting to override the mayor's veto. But I was curious if we had, and I don't know if this is the executive session, respondents to the RFP yet that indicated how much they wanted for the service. I have not been looking at the responses to them.
I would say that from what I understand, as of last week, there were 2 responses, but we can't open the responses to see what the budgets are until all the responses come in. And immediately after the deadline is when we can open the responses.
So I am in favor of funding this. I've heard from a number of my constituents that they want to prioritize charter reform, and charter review, I guess I should say. And I think that this is money well spent and will ultimately be a cost savings to the city in the efficiencies that they can find in our form of government.
And I would point out, we could set aside a certain amount of money, but we don't have to spend it. Right? So that's a crucial thing. Yeah.
Have you considered where in this budget? Like, are you taking something away? Are you adding something in? I mean, we have to figure that out. And I didn't give John a heads up on this one, so. We have to, I don't know if you put any thought
I have not
into
put
it.
in any thought
Okay.
yet.
I think this is
Where it's
significant that it should just come from the general fund. It's less than $50,000.
How much would that affect?
Right, so it's
If-
50, let's say it
I'm
was
not
50,000.
really understand the question.
So we
So
want.
you're adding it in and just appropriating more fund balance?
Yeah.
Yes,
$50,000. What if you did that? That would be like a 0.5% increase, right?
Or,
It wouldn't. increase
well,
the
you're talking
budget
about,
if you're
well, if
taking
you're
from the
appropriating more
balance.
fund balance, then,
It's a lot.
um,
Oh, okay.
you're not adjusting the tax rate at all.
What, could we've never done this for at least in years on my years on the council. We have the capital projects. Would that be, they're not the capital
Yeah.
plan? I mean, we did a small amount for traffic safety things, equipment last year and.
yeah, I mean, something like this, I don't know whether or not it's even bondable, but, it would take some
That's fine,
investigation,
so.
but, regardless, it's not a plan that's attached to a capital project, I'd probably prefer this to either whether you adjust, you find somewhere else to adjust, or, I mean, you have to make a decision right now as to where the funding's coming from. Are we doing,
I
because,
don't think we
because
should
you
do
didn't,
that now
because we
haven't
didn't, you didn't
finished our
decide
discussions.
when you adjusted the mayor's raise, you didn't do the other side of it,
Right,
right? So right now, you're not doing the other side of anything. So do you just want to put it in to see where it all falls out and then figure out what you want to do with the balance? You know what I'm saying?
yeah, because we're not voting on it now. I think we should put it in and then we can sort of see what happens when we talk
Because
about.
I'm running the numbers live as you go, so if I can put the expense in there and then one, we can say, okay, well, this is how much the budget's changed, where do you want to take that
That's a good
from?
approach.
Right?
Yes, it's a good
Well,
approach.
Right. I mean, I would favor $90,000, but you're saying 50,000. So
I'm following.
Sarah,
Oh, I'm saying, right, I'm saying, yeah, 90,000 is a very significant amount. I'm saying, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to to hire them to do the whole thing. But this summer, they had said that they could do they could do a credible job for 50,000, but there might be other expenses, and whether we have to hire a New York State certified attorney. Yeah, I mean, a New York State attorney, there are other expenses that could come in, so it probably should be more than 50.
Will it all be spent in 26?
26 and 27.
It's gotta be done by, it would have to be done by December 26.
No,
No,
it has to be done by
November of 20, we want, no,
On the ballot.
Well,
August.
the reason I say that is potentially you don't have to have all the expenses.
Right.
Yeah, I would say half now, that's why I'm saying 50,000, because half of it would be probably in 2027, because we have to be spending money from January to midsummer.
You just couldn't
6
encumber
months.
more than whatever you have in the budget, so you couldn't issue a purchase order for more than that. So
Unless
you
we
would,
made a budget amendment for some reason, but
correct,
I think.
correct, so like,
we're gonna be
if you're
spending
making a
money.
award, it would, like some of these projects have like different phases, you'd have to do it for portion or something for 26, huh?
Right, because it does go into.
Done, it seems like.
I think it can be broken into various deliverables. In fact, the RFP is set up to
Right.
have various deliverables over time. So say the first 3 set of deliverables could be in 2026 and the others in 2027, which would buy us some time to raise additional funds that might cover that.
But I don't want to get too down in the weeds, but if you make an award for it and all the deliverables equal a certain amount, you would want that amount in the budget for 26.
Even if you don't spend it
Well,
until 27?
Yes, because you're obligating, you can't, unless you can walk away from that contract, unless you can cancel it. Unless you can cancel it and not engage that consultant for the other deliverables.
Which you can do, but it's very painful, so you shouldn't do that.
Well, here's another question. Is it possible to actually break a contract into 2 different deliverables so that there's a contract for 1 year and a contract for the next year, or no?
You could phase it.
I mean, that's what I guess that's what I'm saying. Could you phase the contract? So
You might end up with a different contractor with the same things. That's your risk.
More expensive.
Right, if
I
you're, yeah, if you're having, right, it's just whatever you are actually, whatever you are going to contractually commit to in 26, you need to have the money there for.
Right, but-
Right, whatever, so if you're gonna commit to $100,000 project and it's gonna be 50,000 in 26 and 50,000 in 27,
Uh-huh.
you really should have the 100,000 in 26. Because
I see.
you're obligated, unless, once again, you can walk away from that contract if there's a clause in there, but
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like that's gonna be the case,
I
so.
see.
So
Thank you for that. explanation.
that suggests then 100,000 in the budget with the idea that we would be spending half of it in 26 and then the other half would be there in 27.
Right, and again, hopefully we would be able to find some outside funding that would support that second half. of the-
Right, and that's what we've been searching
I would,
for.
I'd rather be safe.
That doesn't change the budget.
Have it in there.
But
Okay.
100,000 is in the budget this year.
Correct, but only
Right.
change it 26.
So, right, so, you know, while you don't even spend it next year, it's in this year's budget.
Right, but if we're taking it out of the general fund, then it's not gonna affect the tax.
Okay, you're taking, all right, that's fine.
Well, minus 2,500.
It'd be fine.
Yeah, I think it's really important to allocate it into the budget so that it's fixed,
Okay.
it doesn't get spent. It's more likely to happen, like it's not something that we have to decide on later, just done, moving forward.
Okay.
Okay,
Then, so I think we're generally agreed on that one. Yes?
do we need a motion or we need?
No,
Wait, no.
I think because we're all in agreement on this.
Okay.
None of these, these aren't like, I just want to make sure.
All the,
Yes,
everything,
everything, right,
all these ties together.
right, okay.
Drew?
No, no, no,
Oh, sorry.
just put up a button.
This is like, at the Dr. Braca show the other night, they were doing this, auction to raise money for training. And I was like, we were on the front row. We were on the front row. Yeah, it got up to like way above $1,000. Anyway, all right, there we go, my whole salary for the year.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's supportive of this, because I think it is important, and I've done a lot of research, and I feel that with this kind of enthusiasm, I think we're going to be able to generate the same kind of enthusiasm from our community to be involved. And already, as I talk to my constituents, I have several who said, please let me know when I can apply. I'd like to be on it. So I think it's exciting. And it's exciting to have something positive happening at a time when there's so much negative happening on a national level. So
And it's a
thank you all.
proactive democracy. That's what we've got.
I haven't heard anything negative about it.
I haven't either.
Great. So next issue then is occupancy tax. You brought it up.
Yes, so this would probably require a law, but the mayor's suggesting a 2% occupancy tax. I think it is fine for us to go to a 4% occupancy tax. This is a rather paltry amount of money that's on somebody's bill when they stay at a hotel. And it would align with most of the counties, which is also more aligned with our neighboring cities.
What is the kind?
What is the counties?
4.
4%, okay.
And this would also be for short-term rental.
Yes.
units as well.
Yes,
So
we would have that
hotels,
clear in the local law.
short-term rentals.
Hotels.
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 How about tents in the back?
I'm sure tenants
It
are
would just be case.
apply.
I'm saying the county did that.
Yeah.
I have a question for John.
Yeah.
Now, we obviously need to do this through our local laws, which won't happen before we vote on the budget. So can we do it in the opposite, can we make a change in the budget without passing the local law?
And I would assume that local law is not gonna pass or pass the assembly and senate until June 10th or whatever.
I mean, you can add whatever, I mean, you can add this into the budget. The question is, you know, the mayor's already put a placeholder for the 100,000 for occupancy tax. Depending on the timing, we may not see, no matter what percent we choose, we may not see any money in 26. So, while you might have point of, you know, talking about, you know, what do we actually want that percentage to be? I just caution you that, putting a higher number in here may just be, it just,
Okay.
What is that allocated towards?
next year might be the year to, it starts coming in and we're sit down and do the budget next year. We may have a little better idea where we're at, and what that number may look like. Just a little more time. I think $100,000 is, like I said, it's a placeholder. We may or may not even see any of that.
What's it allocated towards at this point?
It's just the sales tax in the budget. It's just a general
Oh.
revenues.
Dan wants to contribute.
Yeah,
some.
just want to remind the council, which I'm sure they already know, that it will include a local law from the city, but then it will also need an act of the New York State Legislature. So it's not just the action of this council that will affect change or create an occupancy tax. The New York Legislature will have to approve this.
Right, that's why we were saying April or May.
Yeah,
So it's done
If
final moments.
If they can get carried, right, if we can get locals to carry it and get it to pass, then we can get it signed, right? So, I think we're hopeful of that, but,
that was my question, is like, would it be, should we do that process and, then think about next year's budget?
Well, it's kind of
And
similar.
changing this budget without knowing what the next 6 months process will.
Kind of reminds me a little bit, I mean, it's different, but it's a tax, well, like the cannabis, right? The first year we put in 25,000 as a placeholder. We saw that, the revenue, it actually did come in and it's greater than what we budgeted. So now it allows the city to revamp its 26 budget in line with, what we're actually seeing in revenue. So I think this Michael's idea here, along with what the mayor's already suggested, gives the city the opportunity to get the law in place with the percentage we want. Perhaps reevaluate where we're at the 27 budget based upon a little more data than we have at that time.
So we just want to point out a point of clarity. We're actually talking about two different things. So we could talk about increasing that number to 4%, but not change the number that's in the budget.
And I think that's
So
legit, and I agree with that. But I was curious how and I apologize for not asking this early in the process, but how was that 100,000 placeholder arrived at? Was that like how much Poughkeepsie got in there first year?
That was the mayor's number, right? I'll leave it at
okay. You have a
Just a
question?
question, how does that affect, the hotels and motels that the homeless are,
There's
I'm just wondering.
tax exempt.
they're taxed?
Yeah, TSS is tax.
Okay,
We don't have any in Kingston
what,
of those hotels.
that families are in?
Those they would only be city of
Oh, sorry.
Kingston.
Like a local hotel, right?
We have the one by on Washington Avenue, no? There's homeless.
West Western, Sucre, Kingsley.
Yeah.
There's plenty of.
There's some.
But they're-
I think that's why I asked.
They're exempt from
Oh,
all sales tax. County governments are
I
tax.
haven't looked at the law for a while.
Thanks.
Let's see, okay, did you have a
Yeah,
question?
no, I just thought like we would be able to get a rough idea of what the county sales tax is coming in from short-term rentals and hotels. I mean, they have that information. So we should be able to get an idea, right?
I can probably find that out, but not tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, you were next and then Michael.
Well, I was just gonna ask the question that's already been asked.
Okay, Michael,
Good.
you good? All right, so, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment, if you want to move forward with a local law. like-
Oh, absolutely. I think an occupancy tax is important, but I'm satisfied with the number arrived at for this year.
Good, so that, I think we.
So for the purposes of this discussion,
We're good, I'm good. But feel free to
I
introduce,
agree with the other.
yeah, feel free to introduce legislation or a resolution for that number, for 4%. All right, then, sales tax projection.
Yeah.
Anybody want to think about changing the current projection in the budget?
You want me to discuss where we're at, maybe?
Yes, your turn,
For starters, I admittedly, the city, we budget sales tax conservatively.
Right.
That's following the guidance of the New York State Controller. They recommend, and it's just good budgeting to try to budget large ticket revenue items that you have no control over, rather conservatively. So, that being said, as of right now, we are on pace probably for about 20.4. This is I haven't printed one.
Or is this the one from the other night?
I want you to pass that.
Yeah. What's the last item on there? Okay, so yeah, so no updates to there.
No,
We're on pace for roughly $20.4 million. The sales tax picked up a little bit from the mayor's budget, not a lot. We have put a placeholder in, the mayor budgeted $20.4 million for 2026. That seems to be pretty typical of the way we budget is. We typically have budgeted the following year's revenue to be at close to where we expect the current year to land. Hoping that there's a little bit of upside to it, protects the city against the downturn in the economy. We talk about some uncertainty in the economy. Certainly, I was here for 2000, the Great Recession, and I still, we didn't make budget by $800,000 that year. So, I know the county has budgeted more, we have. So, when you make work conservative, let me just talk in general terms throughout the budget. It was a difficult budget. I've told you this before, and a lot of estimates where other revenue estimates were in the past probably a little more conservative, a little less conservative this year. Sales tax is probably the outlier. I think that sales tax was budgeted similarly to the way it's been budgeted in the past. Our fund balance has declined. Year over year, we're now down to 16% range. We used to be over 20, we're down to 16. So, and I say that in that the way I see this budget right now, the 26 budget, it's definitely going to be a tighter budget and a tougher budget to work with than past budgets, because there's not much room there. There's not much fat on the bones. The expenses have been shaved down. Most of the revenues, you'll see, you even have placeholders in for tax items that aren't even in place yet. So there's some aggressive revenue estimates in there. Just want to caution you, when you look at sales tax, not to say that there's no wiggle room, but there's just not a lot of areas to turn to if sales tax does not reach that budget. It could lead to an ominous 26. So
this year is the expiration of the current sales tax sharing agreement between the county, the city, and all our municipalities.
yes.
Have those negotiations started yet, and are they looking more fair to Kingston, or not going into too much detail? But
I
can't go into executive session to talk about it.
I don't have anything that would,
Looks like.
I don't have a lot of information on that other than
Okay.
if there has been any conversations been between the mayor and the county.
Okay.
So I haven't been involved in negotiation there. I'm not aware of any changes.
Yeah, I have no information, so.
Okay.
I know the mayor's aware, so.
So if we blow out the sales tax, how much risk are we introducing into the world?
Like I said, you're already looking at, right out of the gate for 27, you're looking at some tax increases. I already know that. You have positions that half filled. Those if you end up filling them, you have to pick up the other half of it, the 27 budget. It's just a matter of risk tolerance, you have 20.4 million. City could, we could be at 19.5 or we could be at 21 million. It's really, if I had to, if the economy keeps the way it's going, we'll be at 20.4 million plus 2%, plus 3%. Ideally, we would come in several $100,000 over that $20.4 million number. But that doesn't mean that I would tell you to budget more than the 20.4 million, because
Because you're control. That's right.
And there's a lot of areas where we may not make budget. So, as the fund balance declines, we have less wiggle room to make budget. And as the budget becomes tighter, once again, this budget, if you actually go to the front page of the budget, and if you look at the requested and the requested, just go to page 6 of your printed budget. If you go to the requested appropriations on page 6, the requested column, and then their revenue, you look at that, what tax levy would have been if the mayor had gone with the department's request, it would have been a $26.6 million tax levy versus the 21.4 million. So you had to shave over 5 million off the budget to get here. So what you're looking at is a product of a lot of
Matching and choose the.
yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, but that was all those espresso machines that they were asking about.
I said we kind of every cure in this city. In leisure time work. And I say that because this is probably the most dramatic I've seen in my time here, where there's that much of a difference. Don't quote me on it because somebody will probably pull on a bunch of shit. I gotcha. But I don't recall off the top of my head of when we started this budget process of how wide the budget was. And then I say if you get it down under 10%, was the work of a lot of revisiting estimates, revisiting revenue estimates, revisiting expense estimates. So getting back to the sales tax could end up at 20.6, 20.7 million, but there's also the likelihood of other items aren't going to be where they're at. So it's just,
So we're gonna need that.
it's just a tighter budget. Bottom line, we have a tighter budget than we've had in years. So where this is the one item where if the economy stays the way we're going, we probably do have some room here. But it's one of the few areas where I think there's any upside at all in revenue, quite frankly.
So,
There's not a lot of upside throughout the budget, like revenue wise. We've already seen what we've done with parking revenue. That's been boosted up. I mean, anywhere where there's an opportunity to revisit existing revenues, to look at building revenues up, parking revenues up, you have the occupancy taxes, a new revenue's been added in. So there's just not a lot to, not a lot of areas to look if things aren't looking rosy.
so Michael points out the throughway rest stop opening is a good thing for us. From a
Is there
sales
like
tax
one?
perspective.
Oh, that might be Orange County though. It's Modena, but it might be.
Medina,
No,
yes.
It's Ulster.
We're the only county with 4 throughway.
Is this in Ulster County? Okay.
Modena is?
Our claims is.
Sure.
That rest stop is in Ulster County?
So if we were to bump the sales tax to, 200,000 or 300,000 more, how much harder would that cause? And is it a prudent thing to do? How even more than that? I don't know, what are we thinking about?
Well, he's gonna say it's not prudent.
I
Ask him.
think $200,000 is a conservative increase.
How much of an impact is that gonna have on the budget?
1%.
Do we
Like
have-
some of these.
do we have any idea how much revenue is being generated from the rest stops now or no? Because it goes
Those
into the
are
county.
among the highest generators of sales tax revenue in Ulster County. Stops.
And what percentage of that would come to us?
That's part of the
That's part of
tax
the
share
negotiation
increase
that we don't
that
know
is
about.
ongoing right now.
We, as of right now, we have 11.5% of all sales tax collected by the county. So of what the county receives, we get 11.5% of the county piece. Keep in mind, there's a portion goes to the state, a portion goes to the county. Of the county, we got 11.5%.
So if we did increase the revenue projection here, that would not in any way encumber the next budget for 27, right?
Oh,
Not in the same way that adding a job, because adding a job, we'd have to just find a way to pay that, or the ones that are.
It's the same as just increasing, honestly. I mean, there's not much difference between that and just adding more to the fund balance appropriation. Right, because you're taking out that room for growth in the 27 budget, right? So by adding $300,000, if we're looking at a 5% tax increase next year, whatever tax increase you shaved off this year, you're adding it to next year. it's just kind of kicking the can down the road.
Mhm.
You know, unless, if you saw that next year was gonna be everything was looking really rosy for the 27 budget, right? We had debt that was coming off the books, we had a lot of expenses that were falling off. And, it made sense where we didn't need the revenue growth in that year for that budget to balance it because things were picking up. That's a different story, right? But this is, we're talking about adjusting a revenue source that we don't have control over. And then let's just say for argument's sake, you increase it from 20.4 to 20,700,000. And let's say we end up at 20,500,000, 100,000 over what is currently in a mayor's budget, but $200,000 over what we're talking about, right? So then when you develop a 27 budget, you go, oh, wait a minute, we're 25 for this year.
Right.
Maybe we go up to 27. Oh, we're already there. We can't increase the sales tax budget at all. Or maybe you go up to 20,800,000. So whatever you do this year is just less you can adjust it next year. It does impact the 27 budget for sure. It's just your question really of where do you think the budget tightness is going to be? Is it this year? Is it next year? I personally think there's pressure on both years. But I don't have a crystal ball.
So our collective bargaining agreements, which we are about to enter into for all three of our groups, will be in effect in essence next year. Next year.
Well,
Other agreements.
They can sometimes
We
take.
might not even have the agreement. Not guarantee.
I mean, these negotiations take a lot of time. I mean, we've been in negotiations with fire, with fire, we've been talking fire for a while. Yeah, I mean, they can take months, they can take a year, depending on, how many items each party has. Usually you sit down and you have a list of wants and demands on each side, and it could be 20, 30 things on each side. Sometimes it's less. So, I would be surprised if all the contracts are settled when we sit down next year. It's possible, but, right now, none of the three are settled. And of the three, only one has negotiations even started.
So until they're settled, we're not gonna have once they're settled, we're gonna have to be talking about old money from the period that was uncovered. In essence, didn't have it. Like the police right now, we have a year. With the police, we're gonna have some deal made. So this next year, if they're not settled, the money that we have set aside for settling our agreements will be available.
No. Well, I don't know if we need to go into executive session for this. So I mean, if we're talking, money and,
Labor agreements, maybe.
labor agreements, and I just want to explain
Yeah, right.
this in a little more detail.
I don't think that.
You can talk about
Collective negotiations.
Right.
Pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law.
Is that's fine.
Well, one of these, yes, I don't think it falls into anything that one of the enumerated ways to go into executive session.
Well, I'll just try to keep it vanilla then. So essentially there's money that's in contingency that could be used for settlement for union contracts, right? For 2026 salaries. Okay. The KPFFA contract expired at the end of 24. So they have a 25 and a 26 potential whatever that is, potentially retro, potentially, right? And then for police, you have 26. And for the police will expire at the end of this year, and then CSA will expire at the end of this year. Historically, most contracts have had retro. So any money that doesn't get spent potentially would be used for retro pay. Once again, it's all subject to collective bargaining. Been quite a while since I've seen a contract without retro.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to cover everything.
No, sorry, I answered my question.
Right. anything else then on that? So, is anybody interested then in changing that projection?
For sales tax increase, we want to increase it.
How much do you hate 2027?
I'll make a motion to increase our sales tax revenue by $100,000.
Second.
Second. All right.
Except Bob can't make a motion.
I can. I will make the motion to increase our sales tax projection by $100,000.
Sorry.
I'll second that.
We get a second for that. So any discussion then? General discussion about increasing that line by $100,000.
Well, as long as John isn't grimacing too badly, then I'm, no, because I understand, we don't know what's gonna happen in 2026. There are a lot of unknowns out there in the world. We don't know if people are gonna stop spending, buying, I mean, right now, people have cut back on spending money. But as Michael said, we have new rest areas that are opening up, and those are people passing through, our county who are spending money, so I would be willing to go up to 100,000, but not more.
And there's the million people who are leaving New York City to move this way.
Is that so?
Yep. That's the projection that I heard.
Okay.
because-
Now that our president is, friends with nobody.
No, I think what that means is he's gonna move back to New York City.
Oh.
We don't want to.
So, just in general, we have not ever increased this projection before. However, I think that this amount it's a conservative increase. And I think that given some of the other strictures that we're facing, this is a good thing to do. The other side is it's just so hard to tell the future. So when we went into COVID, we had lots of dire predictions, right? When everything was shutting down. And while that was terrible in terms of people's health, it actually turned out to be a benefit to us in terms of sales tax revenue precisely because a lot of people came out this way. That was not part of, there was no epidemic, there was no pandemic that was in our forecasts from 2019, right? So this is not really on either side of this issue, just letting us know that, it's not an easy thing to do.
It's a gamble.
We have to use our race to go out and buy a car.
And this is related but not specific to this, but for the returning council members specifically, we have to be more careful with how we spend money than we have in previous years. And I think this, increasing that and not knowing what 27 is going to be, and I've said it a couple of times recently, so I will continue to say it, and then we could talk with, obviously, whoever's gonna be finance chair, and, just need to watch it a little bit more. Not that we weren't, but with a different lens, I should say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we haven't been exactly profligate.
No, yeah, just with a different lens, because we have been lucky, fortunate, and we were, yeah.
It's also been because of the good management of people like exactly John and Dan over here.
And all of our department heads. We do a good job.
All the other departments,
Yeah, all the other ones who are not here also do a good job in addition to the two who are here.
All right, good. Right, let me be clear. All right, so we're agreed on that one. Everybody's okay with?
Yeah.
Okay.
this? All right, you got that one down, Don? Okay. That is, well, there was one thing, I just will put this out there. There's one position that's open in Parks and Recreation. It's rec director, page 105.
Are we going into executive?
No,
No,
this is about a position.
It's an open position.
Are we going? into-
we will.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a whole resolution, but we're gonna put only, that it's like about a particular person.
But if we're talking about systems, we don't need to go.
We can't go into.
We can't go into executive.
You said 105?
Yes. So at the bottom of the list there, there's a position rec leader. Which is open. And so, I'm not saying that I'm in favor of eradicating, I'm just pointing out that this is one place where change could be made. Andrea, then Michael.
I would be against it because, I mean, I just feel like that would be a little arbitrary to pick this one vacant position when so many of our other departments, DPW, okay, thinking DPW, but other departments who have vacancies, I think actually KPD too, aren't filling their vacancies. Why are we choosing to fill this one over one of those other positions? It seems arbitrary, and without any further information on like why that is, I can't be in favor.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can't be in favor of.
Of filling this position,
Of eliminating.
of eliminating this.
So you want it eliminated or you don't want it?
It's not being, maybe I have
Does not.
this wrong. Is this being filled?
No, it's unfilled at this point in time.
It's
So it's
on-
being cut.
It's being cut.
No, it's not
Yeah.
being cut. It's just unfilled.
No,
So what are you you're suggesting?
I'm saying that
we cut-
because there's nobody in that position,
This is what.
if we cut it, we're not firing anybody. But we would be saving the money because that position would be removed from the
Okay.
budget.
So I am in favor of that. So I'm in favor of getting rid of it position
Okay, so
for the reasons I see. I just had it passed. Unless I'm missing something.
I just wanted to just ask, we, like, it says vacant here, but I thought they were interviewing for that job, so I don't know where that stands.
that would be something.
Yeah.
Or do you know where that,
Yeah. and
Well,
then-
that would take away my argument.
because I couldn't tell you where it stands now, I wasn't prepared on that, so. There's positions that are listed as vacant in the budget, but they're listed generally as vacant when the mayor sits down in July and August, like, so if they get filled in the meantime, we don't change the name from vacant to that person's name, so they essentially, did it come up in a rec? Did it come up in a rec budget meeting?
No, other ones did, but no.
This isn't the position
That
that
was
we wanted to
Lindsay,
make full-time.
no.
That was Lindsay, yes, Lindsay
Yeah, she did.
presented, but I don't know if she talked
She
about
did
that.
talk about.
Well, she
it.
did talk
So
about it.
my question is this full-time or part-time?
Full time.
This
This is
full-time.
full-time.
I would ask what staff is there? If it's something that we really, really need, I would be in favor of keeping it or going into part-time, but I would want to have a conversation with Lindsay, see what she needs down there.
I agree.
Yeah, and I would say that just from my notes from that meeting, she was saying that there are 30 to 50 kids per day that this position would be serving. This is sort of after school and other sorts of.
Sure.
Other sorts of programs, so that might, it might be so significant that what would we do with those kids? That could be a loss to the
And you need
community.
supervision, you need.
Yeah, and so
staff,
it's supervision, you need to have
oversight.
somebody.
Yeah. So that would be a conversation to have.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that position or the one that they want to make full-time because it meets and all of the requirements with.
That was the
Number
one.
one.
That was the
Yeah.
one to make full-time, this was
Okay.
a separate recreation
Okay.
position. So the question could be whether it's part-time, as you said, or
Well,
they really.
Yeah, what are the needs?
We need to look at.
Yeah.
right?
Do you want to leave that one and move on? And then
We could leave it.
Yeah.
Comes
let's
back
do
to
that
us.
for now. That is all
Okay,
that's on my list here. So I believe that means that, we can take a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter of personnel.
I would be happy to give that a motion for consideration. I would move that we enter into an executive session for the purpose of discussing the financial employment history of a particular person.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we will invite, Dan Baker and John Toohey to stay with us.
Yeah.
Okay. There was,
Hi, we're back in. Is Brian still out there?
No, let's see. So unless he's wearing an invisibility cloak.
he could always just tune in and hear what we have to say.
True. Trail. Trail.
And we got updated these versions. Doing it right now.
Okay.
So did you go Saturday? Were you there?
I didn't know. No, my dad went. Oh my God. Does it had a good time.
They, I mean, I seen an extra and it's like.
My father is just the most impressed with the mixed tour, the chorus.
He was there for the early ones.
He was there. I was able to and celebrate at least.
Up to do. 600.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was really.
It was, they sang about going to.
He was, oh my gosh.
The girl sang,
Yeah, that's when
I mean, the rest of them,
so see, you do know music.
I mean, listen.
I mean, it's just, you just said exactly what my dad said.
It's just more of,
God, did I clap the Isaac today?
assuming sound,
40 minutes.
attempting to pick out a.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't change my mind.
It's supposed to be a shooting.
Listen,
She didn't mention.
It's not a kiss. Just.
Oh, I didn't finish reading it.
She sure wanted.
Why, what did you say?
I see someone else like.
Good for
Like,
you.
wow.
Here we go.
There we go.
I thought it was great.
You can leave.
I don't like to think that.
No, I'm not.
The vast majority.
Really?
Maybe Carol's. Carol is way more.
See, when we get together, when's our next?
One of the things I regret and stuff.
Focus.
Oh,
Right.
The next one.
So I mean, I do have some.
I have one in my house. Do you want me to bring it over sometimes? You would ask me.
But you know, it's-
Good for you.
I thought tomorrow's at least four to be fine.
What's tomorrow?
It is.
Yeah.
I guess maybe like striking away was just.
Let's say she's canceled this.
Public safety to cancel.
So
So it's to develop.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we don't have the housing meeting. We don't have any meetings tomorrow. No, but CDBG advisory.
That we just met last week. What was the next thing?
Just in case you can't get through
Oh,
it,
she said
but
we meet in a couple of weeks.
you guys
Okay.
hung tight and delivered.
That's our reward. Good job.
Good job. All right. See ya. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's like the king of the side eye.
I mean, Susie's are good.
Just that's what he knows. Is that what it is?
Is he?
I don't think they're juniors, that's
And the
fine.
other dog?
Yeah.
Rigatoni is more attention. That's rigatoni.
And Bill Lee.
Definitely, where's Willie? Show me Willie.
This one's Willie.
Right.
Because they're two, you see the difference.
I was like talking for them.
Oh, because they're both right on the
Yeah.
bed. Right, I see.
Same difference. I mean, yeah.
Members of the finance committee. We have a report. It reads. Adopt 2026 general fund budget with expenditures totaling $63,351,762. Amendments to mayor's budget as follows. 1. Increase sales tax revenue by $100,000. 2. Increase common council consultant expense by $100,000. 3. Decrease corporation council salary increase request at $28,550 plus benefits. 4. Decrease mayor's salary increase request by $2,500 plus benefits. 5. Decrease fund balance appropriation by $34,374. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
What about the assistant? Yeah, was that week?
Okay, I have.
No,
Yeah, give it the assistant.
well, it has to be second.
Steve second.
Oh, Steve seconded. Yeah, okay. All right, I was drawn in.
You okay down there?
Wait.
I'm sorry. I put a number 6 on here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Is it in?
okay.
Just don't put number 9. Ghost. It's the ghost of Dan Baker's past. Not quite. Okay. A little hiccup. Sorry. Is that change this number?
No, I have all of those.
All right, number 6, increase assistant court counsel salary by $2,638.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Michael,
Second,
second by Sarah Pasty.
sorry, Steve.
All right, discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
Bars, Lewis? Or?
All right, the next report reads adopt 2026 general fund budget with a total to be raised by taxes of $21,496,726. Motion approved. Michael Tierney, second by Lou Andrews.
And that's unchanged from mayor's budget. That keeps it exactly the same.
All right, discussion. Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously.
Yeah, you're up.
It's a headache.
So I just.
All right, you want to explain this to us?
Yeah, I mean, just to refresh our base proportions. 1901, 1903, the city adopted this law when they did a revaluation back in the early 90s. They wanted to apportion property taxes, commercial and residential, homestead, non-homestead, the way they were the prior year. Those class shares the same. Once you're in the system, there's only certain shares that can be adopted. And this year, the base portion, I believe, was what was proposed in the mayor's budget, as opposed to moving those class shares like we had away from commercial into the homestead. I think this year, the mayor's proposed to just adopt our base proportion, not make any movements. And as you can see in his budget, resulting estimated tax rates that would result. So, students, go ahead. Because this year, I think there's the request, the mayor's budget was not to shift from homestead into homestead, not to shift from commercial into residential.
We've been doing that the last decade, right?
We've been shifting from, yes, from commercial into the residential.
And so what's the justification for no shift this year?
I'm not necessarily privy to that. I just produced the allowed class shares. I can surmise maybe it's because of the budgetary pressures and the increases and but That would be getting straight into just guessing. I'd be missing that discussion.
Okay. Anybody got questions?
I'm pretty sure I asked this last year, so forgive me, but, at what point, does an apartment building, how many units do they become?
Commercial for once it's 4 units, it's commercial. 1, 2, 3 family, and residential vacant land is in the homestead class. Everything else is non-homestead class.
Thanks.
And short-term rentals, a non-owner occupied.
So if they are a 1 or 2 or 3 family home, they are in the homestead class. The ownership or occupancy doesn't come into overplay with regard to 1901, 1903.
Or ownership, like person versus LLC.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That would take a
Legislative.
legislature.
Yeah, they should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a question, we get that with, valuation too, if they're using it as an income producing property, let's just say. But the valuation standard still goes back to what a single family home would
Yeah.
be appraised for, would be appraised as, and it's using the sales comparison approach as opposed to the income approach. And the courts have held that, so very similar to homestead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Never heard anybody racing that.
I use like a crayon.
That is the report, I mean.
That's funny, just before you said that, I was thinking it was dead quiet for half a second, I could hear it. I'm trying to figure out what that noise was. I was thinking, it probably goes back to kindergarten, right? Oh, it's right. That's good timing. I really felt that.
At least we're having fun, guys.
It's that fun, there you go.
Because if we did that, we'd be increasing the homeowners.
Yes, if you down this one.
Your
thing.
What? No, I just said base salary.
Sure. Just.
I put a baked potatoes in the oven.
5%.
I thought I had enough time to be flexible. Didn't.
Did you take it out of the oven?
It's like, I'm halfway today. I'm sorry.
Did
I'm still on the sleep. I'm really not choose.
And that's why I was able to take your parking place.
Yes.
If there was, I ate, I had all 3 meals today. Ate the car, ate breakfast in the car, ate dinner in the car. I worked late today.
But you had lunch at your desk.
I had lunch at my desk with no lunch break. I ate longer, of course, but I take lunch break.
All right.
Oh,
We have, here's a report from the assessor. In accordance with RPTL 1901 and RPTL 1903, the authorization of adoption of a base proportion ratio of 57.02031 homestead and 42.979669 non-homestead for the 2026 levy. A motion to approve.
Motion.
I got it. Second by Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item here. From the comptroller, adopt 2026 sewer fund budget. Total expenditures of $6,773,059. Amendment of $616.
Sounds right.
That's the dollar sign right there.
Yes, sure. 616, yes.
Yeah, correct. And some like the backwards are. Amendment of $616 from mayor's budget due to reduction in mayor's raise. Do I have a motion to approve? Second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passed unanimous. Chief. This is great. Next item from the comptroller, adopt 2026 sewer rate of $8.19 per unit.
I'm sorry, I'm confused then. If this is different, we use text line.
Correct. I did
Oh, you changed it.
just after I.
No, okay, all right, can I hold on this for a minute? No. Yeah, fine, I have to make some changes.
Sure. There's a motion to go
It's
through.
like the one that you sent me,
Steve Shabbat.
can you
I'll think
Can you email this one to me?
I thought it did.
Any
No, the
discussion?
one you sent me was the other one. Okay.
All in favor?
I,
All right, you just voted to give me 100,000. Oh, this is good. No change.
So, actually, let me see, make sure. You got it?
Is that it?
No. Yeah, I'm gonna put some more here.
Take a picture of what he's doing.
That's 7
So I'm gonna see that on Facebook.
This is exactly what it's doing, Facebook. I'm entertained. This is commitment right here.
You get the clock. Hold on. All right.
So, yeah, so you're saying you deserve the raise? Is that- Use this here, just like right again.
I'm sorry.
All right, this report reads, adopt 2026 debt service fund budget with total expenditures of $7,805,010. Motion to approve. Motion. Michael Oxenream, second. Second, by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimous.
You see the original committee report that had the total.
Changes?
There's I'm sorry.
I did.
Last year, I think you numbered them.
Yeah, probably should, yeah.
Good idea.
We have to do it because it's a specific order.
They do?
Yeah.
Only because some could impact others, so like if one
Yeah.
didn't have it. And then the last one is capital plan.
Oh, right. You got it down there?
Yes. What's the final number I gave you there, Randy? Last one. Agree with me? I'm doing it again.
Is there like a horror movie where this is motif? Like, that noise right there.
It must be.
Like the evil person, the copy editor. All right. I'm not gonna go, or do I need to go over the list of items that are on the capital plan? Or is it-
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
something.
Yep, I'm really sorry.
Oh, we already approved that, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
we had questions.
I mean, we approved it unofficially. Now we're
Right,
approving
right.
it.
We discussed all the items in our committee. We don't, but we have to actually vote on it now. I'm just wondering if people need a review of it. I'm hearing no.
I think no, I have a sheet here, since there are no changes for both.
Michelle. Bulletproof this.
I know it's incorrect.
Ooh. Tell it to you.
I did.
Okay. Should I cross it out here?
Resistance.
Okay. So this one says request bonding authorization in the amount of $830,000 to finance the city's 2026 capital plan. This one will have a financial impact estimated at $830,000. Do you have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Drew Andrews,
I'll second.
second by Sarah Pasty. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Please keep those two sheets together.
It's one computer ones.
No,
Got it.
hard, I sent the email written.
Oh, no, tomorrow.
No meeting tomorrow.
So,
I don't know, I think
So I'm not gonna send it until
right.
we actually adjourn. And
Fine.
are you hosting Thanksgiving?
I'm trying to get it nailed down before I leave.
And what do you?
Going to my dad's, but I'll even, my brother and I are splitting it. Gonna do turkey and then I'll fold the sides. Vegetarian entree. Nice.
What's the,
All
Tomorrow
the
is
siblings be
the
there?
third anniversary in which I got my dog.
All right.
If you have the night off, I can.
She's 3 already?
Yeah, she'll probably, she's like 3.
3.5.
Try that job.
I showed Sarah.
Huh?
I told her to see pictures of people in here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Babies,
Oh.
Very cute.
Oh my goodness.
Lily. And look how
Lily
sad
and-
Rigatoni looks without me there.
My daughter always sends me photos of being very forlorn or over. I'm sorry that I haven't had one.
yeah. So Wednesday, the 17th is the,
Council
and
meeting.
just in case meeting, right?
Yes, but we'll definitely have it because we'll have the ETPA vote. And then potentially a veto override.
So we have, that's a law then, so we have to vote on it on the 2nd? So what you're saying?
With the ETPA?
Yeah,
No, it's not a local law.
why are we voting it on the 2nd?
It's we
Good
can't
time.
pass out laws and rules. We couldn't pass out laws and rules because public comment actually
Oh, I
went
see.
until today. So we couldn't vote until we received all the comments.
We don't have to be next Monday.
We do not.
Wednesday.
Excellent.
No, it'll be on Wednesday. Second comments.
I'll send out an email with all December dates. That'd be
To
helpful.
remind us, yeah, that'd be helpful.
The only-
Move some around.
Yeah, I still have to move public safety because it's Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on.
No.
I think,
I'm committed to public
Besides,
safety.
We just got a race, we gotta show up.
I think that's an appropriate night to talk about public
Yeah.
safety, like people flying through the air.
Yeah. Lock your chimneys, people. But I was kind of waiting to see what communications I get this week to see
Oh,
if,
right.
like, when that would be the best time to.
Have you talked with, the two chiefs and this? What's really good?
I didn't talk about, she says, you want me to reach out to them? But. Yep.
And if you remember, you asked each of them if they can either give us a story of heroism or give the idea that we'll talk to.
Is this community one?
Yeah. We're gonna give it to the 3 branches of our city government that are first responders. And that's at the 2nd, right? Not the 17th.
Yeah. Did that work?
Yeah, it's fine. I just want to make sure. 'Cause
What? My anxiety. Wait,
I know.
what second there?
Control it right.
I got like about 3 days of work, I just got solely all his cases. Wait. 10 I'm working 10 cases. In the last 3 days. That's intense.
Do you have like an area special in yours? All over the place?
Oh,
You're a generalist at this point.
well, because the appellate division. They hear.
They hear everything.
So I've gotten criminal, family, surrogates, Article 78, civil lawsuits, medical malpractice, some of them. Yeah, just, makes it really super interesting. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
I've learned a lot of family court. We get a lot of family court. That's depressing.
Appeals.
It's all appeals, yeah.
Yeah, family court is the hardest thing.
Yeah. I mean, some of the criminal cases are
Oh,
pretty bad, but.
Just put my numbers in my calculator. Spreadsheet. All good.
they all add up?
They're all adding up.
You're not sweating.
No, no.
Did we pass everything?
Yeah, we're good.
So we're good?
Yeah, I'm just working.
So we can actually. For you. So,
I was just updating my spreadsheet, just make sure I had everything in there.
so we actually-
That's
You're good, you're good.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Right.
They're all set.
We're done.
All right.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a
Lisa.
very good Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's the Great Pumpkin.
Bye, Lisa,
Good
thank
night.
you.
Happy
Good night.
Thanksgiving, Lisa.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Whoops.